Happy Salah to all the Muslim faithfuls all around the world. Welcome to Business Daily. I am Yusuf Akogo. We start with our commodities. Glad to have you back there. Now let's quickly look at the prices of rice, one of the major staple food in Africa. Of course, the prices is indeed, as you are seeing on the screen there, in Abuja here is a bag of it, that is a 50 kg, that is half bag of rice. I mean, a 50 kg bag of rice is going for 35,000 and 45,000 naira respectively. In Lagos, it's being sold for 35,000 and of course 45,000 as well. In Jos, Plateau State, 32,500 and of course 42,000 naira will get you 50 kg of rice. And of course down there in Ilori, North Central, is being sold for 30,000, between 30,000 and 40,000 as well. Down there in Ibadan or your state is around 35,000 and 45,000 naira respectively. Down there in Port Harcourt is even more expensive in the Garden City, 36,500 and of course 46,500 naira respectively. But in 25 kg in Lagos is going for between 17 and of course 23,000 naira. While in Sokoto State, same 25 kg is being sold for between 15,000 and 20,000 naira. 100 kg bag in Sokoto is also being sold for between 60,000 and 70,000 naira. Indeed, a huge amount of money that you will say. But let's look at the price of beans. Although today is Salah, not much consumption of beans today. Most people will actually cook rice and of course maybe pounded yam in some places, as the case may be. But again, we look at the cost of beans today. A drum of beans, that is 50 kg in Lagos, is going for between 30,000 and of course 38,000 naira respectively. In Borno State, Northeast Nigeria, is around 27,000 and 35,000 naira. Of course, white beans in Borno is also going for between 22,000 and of course 30,000 naira. Down there in Mount Market in Lagos, 100 kg of white beans is being sold for 36,000 naira. While in Bodija Market in Oyo State is going for around 36,000 naira. And down there in Kano State, Dawano Market to be precise, it's around 35,000 naira. Why white beans also the rice 1 tier now is what we call mudu, is going for around 560 naira. And of course white beans down there in the Budu Market in Delta State is around 36,000 naira for 100 kg bag there. Down in Gombe State, 100 kg is going for around 36,000 naira. While one mudu at Gombe Main Market is being sold for 250 naira. In Numa here, southeastern Nigeria, with 35,700 naira, you can get a 100 kg bag. And then a paint rubber, a paint bucket, is going for 1,050 naira. While Oloyin, the sweet beans as they call it, in Ibadan is being sold for 40,000 and 45,000 naira. While this 50 kg bag of it in Meduguri is around 28,000 and 42,000 naira respectively. Prices difference there, you will see. And in Borno State, 100 kg is going for 75,000 naira, between 75,000 and of course 90,000 naira. Indeed, a huge price there. Price differential say you see across different states of the Federation. That is that on commodity price today. Of course, as you know, today is public holiday and the stock market is on break until probably Friday, when the market will resume again. And of course, we will be here on Business Daily to give you updates of everything you need to know from the capital market. For now, we take a quick break. When we come back, we go into our discussion. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we're going into our discussion properly. We're looking at the MSMEs. There's a report that over 80% of MSMEs in Nigeria don't survive after 5 years of existence. Many of them don't even get to reach 5 years of existence. So what is the cause of all of these things? Now, I'm being joined in the studio by Mr. Joseph Algo. He's a policy analyst. Glad to have you on Business Daily.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a pleasure to have you. It's a special day, Saladi, and Barakah Salah to all the Muslims around the world. Yeah. So now let's go into the discussion, the nitty-gritty of it. MSMEs in Nigeria. What is the problem? Why is it that many of them don't survive beyond 5 years?
There are a number of factors that are responsible for the very high mortality rate amongst MSMEs in Nigeria. And I'll put it this way. There are 4 capitals that are responsible for this very precarious situation that we find ourselves as a nation. The first capital is, of course, financial capital. You know, SMEs have had a problem of access to financial capital for their business. You know, you go to banks will give you very, very stringent conditions, and the rates are not favorable at all. And on top of that, a majority of MSMEs source their capitals from friends and families. And now with a very static income and increase in taxes and tariffs, that's disposable income that should go to funding or running or powering SMEs is dwindling. So that's another, and of course, another source of financial capital for MSMEs is capital from savings. You know, see what the situation we find ourselves as a nation. So savings is a problem at the moment. So that also would affect the financing of MSMEs. The second capital is human resource. There's a problem of the quality or sourcing quality human resource. I'm talking about employees to really run power MSMEs. So we're talking about decay in educational system. We're talking about the sorry state of our vocational schools. We're talking about, so there's a very, very serious problem around quality or sourcing quality human capital. The second, I'll call it capital. You know, the general environment that the MSME is cited in. You know,
ease of doing business.
Of course, you have ease of doing business. You have very, very sorry states around infrastructure. I mean, power is a problem. You have road transportation a problem. There's insecurity and so on and so forth. So the general economic climate. Then the last one is, I'll call it capitalism. You know, government agencies are very quick to raise taxes and put in several levies. And all of these stifle the growth of MSMEs. On top of the fact that the big corporations, we're talking about the big companies,
businesses,
are not very, very accommodating of MSMEs. They are always looking for opportunities to get food out of the mouth of people that...
Absolutely. Why do you think we're having that kind of discrepancies? Like in some of the developed economies, what you see is that a bulk of the economy, they are actually run by small businesses. Why are we finding it so difficult to recreate the same thing down here in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria?
I know for a very long time, the government has not seen the small and medium part of the economy as very viable. You know, there's this tendency to look always the direction of oil. So the government really doesn't see any need to harness micro, small and medium scale or size enterprises. So there is not that intentionality around developing MSMEs in Nigeria. I mean, you go to the United States, for example, you know, you have Secretary of Defense, you have Secretary of Health, and so on and so forth. I mean, as at the last administration of Donald Trump, there was a Secretary for Small Businesses in the United States. So there is that intentionality around.
But here we have Speedan as well.
I mean, Speedan is just an agency. How much is it funded? So there's that issue of funding. I mean, necessary funding that should go to MSME. So we look at small and medium scale enterprise. I mean, at the level of an agency or a parastatal. In developed economies, is at the federal level is a constant item, is a regular item at the federal level. So there's that very strong focus on developing the general environment for SMEs, I mean, in other parts of the world compared
so
to
in essence,
Nigeria.
You're actually saying that MSME should be brought to exclusive lists?
I mean, not that. I mean, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying in essence is that there should be that seriousness at ensuring that. I mean, there was the presidential office of ease of doing business.
Exactly.
The question is, I mean, what was their schedule? How much funding went to it? How much were they able to do? Of course, they did the best that they could, but it's not just that interventionist route that we should always seek to take.
So what you're saying,
should make it a regular.
You don't think that the trader monies and all of that were actually implemented by the last administration works in any way?
I mean, it doesn't work anyway. We're just papering the cracks. It really doesn't drill to addressing the issues that bedevils small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria.
What about the government policies? So much has happened in the last couple of weeks, the issue of subsidy removals and so on and so forth. And of course, we're expecting another subsidy removal again by the 1st of July, this time electricity. So to what extent do you think MSMEs rather will suffer some of this subsidy that has so far been removed by
Of course, we have seen a slow, almost a rapid, let me not say slow, a rapid decrease in the amount of MSMEs in Nigeria. You know, I mean, you quoted statistics about 80%.
80%, absolutely.
Don't survive 5 years. I mean, some analysts will say just 5% make it after 5 years. So. Government, removal of, as much as I support the removal of petroleum subsidy, I think it should have gone more than 10 years ago. But the question again is, as much as these economic or measures by the government are necessary, the question is, what buffers, what shocks, palliatives have the government designed to really protect or insulate MSMEs from the adverse effects of these sudden policy change?
Indeed, so it appears that there's no palliative, just like you say. But again, we're waiting on government to do something. Actually, I think there's a plan. I think it's on ground. So we are hoping that something is done about that. Now let's look at the role of Smedan itself as an agency. It's an agency of the federal government that has, over the years, trying to bring all the MSMEs in Nigeria together. I think over 39 million of them that we have, based on the data from Smedan. So to what extent do you think they have achieved some of the aims, some of the responsibility assigned to them by the government?
I think, and again, this is my opinion from what I've seen. I've had very few interactions with Smedan. And from what from my own point of view, what I see Smedan doing is trying to focus on getting as much SMEs on stream. The question is not just getting them on stream. The question is developing that environment that keeps them going. So it's not about registering. Go to CAC today. People are registering business names or limited liability companies every day. But how many of these companies really survive? How many of them are operating? I was at a very popular plaza some days ago, so about a week ago. And there was two situations. The first one was a businessman. It was a logistics company. They rented the space, and for several months, they have not been operating. And the second situation was this person paid for 1 year and has not been able to start business. So, it's not just getting people to register businesses, reducing the fee around CAC registration and so on and so forth. There are deeper legacy issues that we need to address. And Smedan, I don't think has that mandate to really address those underlying issues that bedevil the growth and development of MSMEs.
Indeed, there are also a lot of MSMEs in the informal sectors that are actually doing very well. Many of them are not even registered with CAC, but they are doing very, very well and contributing to the employment situation in Nigeria. I don't think that thing too is a plus for the government as well.
Of course, they talk about informal businesses sector. Doing that are not captured by the government, doing very well. That's a discussion for another day. But the essence is this: the small MSMEs that are really doing very well or managing to survive are either sole proprietorships, that is one-man business, or family businesses. Like, for example, the akara seller, for example. The person that grinds the beans is her daughter. If she's not feeling so fine, the person that takes over is her daughter. The same thing with the vulcanizer. He and his son is the vulcanizer and his son. The same thing for the Igbo trader. The wife is the one that manages the business most times when he travels to get goods to stock his shop. So family businesses and sole proprietorships. And I think Smedan should look in that direction, because sustainable businesses, again, this is from my own observation, are businesses that are family driven or sole proprietorships.
Indeed, sustainable. Well, that is the opinion, just like you said. But again, let's look at government interventions. Government has done so much to revive some MSMEs, or to even keep them afloat, to keep them in business. Do you think MSMEs operators themselves have their own issues? We see instances where palliatives or interventions funds are given to them, and at the end of the day, some of this money are not invested back into their own businesses. Instead of that, they use it to buy some other things that may not necessarily impact positively on their businesses. Should we continue to blame governments?
The government has the largest percentage of blame. But again, I mentioned the human capital. And this is not just about employee. This also extends to the managers of the business, or the proprietor, the brain behind that business. Some of these co-founders need training. Some of them need proper guidance and supervision. So these people have a share of the blame, but I can say categorically that the government has the largest percentage of blame.
Of the blame. So you're actually blaming government for all the issues.
No,
now,
not all the issues, most of the issues.
Most of the issues. Yeah. Okay, as we try to wrap up now in this discussion now, what do you think this new government will do? Because now there is the campaign on the premises that will also create employment for Nigeria, and the only way to create employment is by creating an enabling environment for small businesses to thrive, because government cannot employ everybody, as we have always said. But now, what do you think, what template do you think they should apply to succeed in this plan of theirs?
I think there are so many things that the government can look into, but I'll just mention a few. Number one is the issue of power and the energy requirement for running SMEs. We're talking about the cost of diesel, for example, the cost of charcoal, the cost of firewood, and so on and so forth. It's a very long list of items. The second is insecurity. Now, a large percentage of small businesses or people in that are farmers, subsistence farmers. And there's, vast uncultivated lands especially in the northern part of Nigeria. And these lands are not uncultivated because of the absence of desire. As the fact that a lot of these farmers are afraid of going into these places to farm. So insecurity in the farms across the north, insecurity in the southern part of Nigeria, because whether we like it or not, insecurity is a big challenge in the southern part of Nigeria. Then there's also the problem of access to funding. That's a big issue. And of course, there's a long list of items. The last point I'm going to make is educational system. We need to reimagine our educational system and retool it so that it produces highly skilled human resource that we need as a nation to really power MSMEs.
MSMEs. Okay, let's almost finally now. Another issue again that I think we should look at is the issue of the fact that some MSMEs want to make it, quickly. They're making it quick syndrome. You invest today, you want to start reaping tomorrow. Don't you think that is also another major problem? Instead of maybe you invest in a business and they give it at least a timeline, 3, 4, 5 years before you start expecting profits. So the issue of MSME, believing that once you invest today, you can reap tomorrow. Or don't you think that is also another major concern?
I think it's not necessarily their fault. The very harsh economic climate doesn't give room for patience with MSMEs. You don't have that latitude. You don't have 5 years to really make profit. If you don't make profits the first year, you're good as dead. So there is that impatience.
But should that be the plan? Should that be the way it should be?
In the world, for people that went to business school, they tell there's this talk around or calculation around the fact that you should have like a 2 years plan, and you should have enough capital to run your business for 2 years. You should also simulate the idea that in the first 2 years, it might not make any profit. But in Nigeria, the average business person doesn't have that patience, luxury, doesn't have that opportunity. So you either make money, for some businesses, you'd have to make money in the first 2 months because the amount of capital coming out to fund that business, maybe from a savings, maybe from a previous work, or from, let's say, money or a loan, or maybe money from a parent or a relative. So there is not that opening or window for the average Nigerian business person to exercise patience. And the truth is that that comes with disadvantage, because the lack of exercise of patience would open that business person to taking very rash and wrong decisions that will ultimately ground
the business. Maybe part of the problem why many of them don't even reach 5 years.
Exactly.
Survive 5 years. Joseph Ango, policy analyst, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So with that, it's a wrap on the show today. Join us again tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.